were trying to talk about the 4 topics here that we have mentioned here. When we begin to think about the practice, all religions are doing the same practice in a different way. But when you speak to the people who practice, they begin to describe their practice in a different way. But if you examine what they are doing, they seem to be doing the same thing. So it is because when we speak of different religions that we find in the world today, we can divide these religions mainly into 2 kinds. One kind is what we call theistic religions. Theistic means based on the belief in supernatural beings. So we are aware of what we call nature. So we were saying that there is one kind of religion called theistic. So they believe in supernatural beings. So I use that word supernatural beings because either they speak of gods or devils. And they are all supposed to be supernatural. They have supernatural powers. And so, when you pray to the gods, you hope to get help from them, to share their supernatural powers. Or you might try to get supernatural powers from devils also sometimes. And devils are supposed to be bad people, but you are trying to get the help from the bad people, maybe to attack your enemies. So, if you want any bad things done, you'll have to talk to the bad supernatural beings who are called the devils. So, this kind of thing is going on even today in various parts of the world. But when we think of the history of Western civilization, there was a period in the West which is somewhere around the 18th century. That is called the Age of Enlightenment. And it was at that period when that science began. All the scientists like Isaac Newton Galileo and all these other people came into being at that time. And when they began to realize a law of nature, it is called determinism. And that determinism means that whatever happens in the world, all the natural phenomena, maybe earthquakes or thunder or lightning or all these things that happen in the world, happen only due to the presence of the necessary conditions. When certain conditions are present, it happens. Even if one condition is absent, it doesn't happen. Now, those days, people, when they wanted a flame, it was very difficult to produce a flame. So they had to preserve the flames that they have produced somehow. And so they have the fire burning all the time. And but today, when you want a flame, even to light a cigarette, you only strike a match and the flame comes up. So how did that happen? They studied the conditions necessary for a flame to arise. Now people, when they saw birds flying, they also liked to fly, but they didn't have wings to fly. So what did they do? They studied what are the conditions necessary for flight to take place. And they provided the conditions and they created what is called the airplane. The Wright brothers, the two brothers who did that. And so, today, of course, we have what we call the computer, and that computer is a wonderful thing. The computer can do mathematics also. And sometimes when you go on typing, you make a mistake, the computer is able to tell you have made a mistake. And sometimes when you are trying to write, the computer can guess what you are trying to type, and they put the word also there. So things like that. And not only that, now they have even gone to the moon. Even 100 years ago, they never dreamt that a man can go to the moon. But now, everyone knows that a human being can go to the moon. Now they are trying to go beyond the moon to other planets. So you see, wonderful things are happening, but everything that is happening is based on this same principle called determinism. That is, that everything that happens only due to the presence of the necessary conditions. Now, when there was this thing called tsunami, that man in New York, he invited people from all religions and asked them to express their views about how tsunami took place. Did God do it? Or some devil do it? Now, according to the religions, this is done by supernatural beings. You see? So you see, but when there was a Buddhist also who went there to talk. And I don't know, because I was not listening to that. But it is still available if you want to know. If you go to the internet, you can get that. And what these different people were saying about people from different religions. Ultimately, the only answer was, when the necessary conditions were present, it happened because of the necessary conditions. It was not due to any god or devil or any person who did it. The important thing is that there is this other kind of religion which is humanistic religion. So the humanistic religion is to see that religion is something that has grown up on earth to satisfy a human need, to solve a human problem. Whereas the theistic religions think that religion is something that has come down from heaven to earth, carrying the message of the creator of the world. And all supernaturally started. And so the message has been the commandments that God gave to the human being. And if you practice the commandments, you will be taken to heaven, where there will be eternal life and eternal happiness. Whereas if you don't practice the commandments, you will be thrown into hell, so that you will be suffering eternally. So, today the world, with the coming of science, has become humanistic, at least the educated people. And religion is not taken too seriously. But still, the church is struggling to uphold the religious dogmas. And some people still keep on believing that. And the most wonderful thing is that in the most advanced country like United States, some people wanted the science teachers who are teaching science to talk about creation as another possibility. So the president had a problem. So that allow that or not. Somehow the teachers, of course, because they was teaching science, they didn't want to do that. So somehow problems like that have come up, and people have begun to think in the humanistic way. So this is why the only fully humanistic religion is Buddhism. And Buddhism is appealing to the modern educated people because of this. And so, all religions begin with devotion. And devotion is expressed in the form of rituals and ceremonies. All these rituals and ceremonies are ways of expressing devotion. Whether the devotion is being devoted to God or Christ or maybe Allah or Muhammad, or even the Buddha. They are devoted to the Buddha. So that devotion means that the human being is in a state of insecurity. The human being is in a state of insecurity and wants to run for help from some supernatural power. That's what is happening. Now, children are the most insecure. They feel very insecure, and so they run to the father or mother for help. But unfortunately, when these children grow up and become adults, they begin to realize that the parents are as helpless as themselves. Now where can they run? When they want help, they have to run to an imaginary world where there are powerful beings like the gods and the devils. And so they are going into a dream world. It's an escape from reality. It's an escape from reality because reality is the insecurity. And the escape from reality is to get into this dream world where there is happiness. So that is how devotion comes up. Devotion is still there. This is why although we are grown up physically, we are not fully grown up mentally. The child is still inside us. And although we are conscious of a world outside, that early childhood feelings and these are still underneath as the unconscious or subconscious. Some people call it the subconscious. And it is this subconscious part which is the child within us. And the conscious part is the adult. So this subconscious part is always active inside. All the fears and worries and anxieties come from this. So this is why psychologists like Sigmund Freud tried to get the conscious mind to look at the unconscious or subconscious mind. It is by making the unconscious conscious that a person can be made to become more mature. So this is why Freud saw religion as a collective neurosis. That is how he saw religion. It's not only the neurosis of one person, but many people are combined in the neurosis and they support the neurosis. So it is very important to understand what this thing called religion is all about. And it is all based on the same problem, the problem of insecurity. So religion is an effort to solve this problem of insecurity. And it is this problem of insecurity that the Buddha called dukkha, which is today translated as suffering. So the real dukkha is this insecurity of life. Now this is why the modern existential philosophers are saying that out of all the animals in the world, the human being is the only animal that is aware of its own existence. I exist. And that is aware of his own existence. And is also aware that he is going to die. This is the other problem. I exist and then I am going to die. And so, that is the insecurity. And death is not only for old people. Even young people can die. Not only just young people, a child can die even before birth, inside the mother's womb. And the child just born can die. So death is something that can happen at any time. So we are like a sword hanging from the top. It can fall on our head at any time. So you see, that is the insecurity of life. We don't know what time we are going to die. So, therefore, people are seeking help in these supernatural powers. And now, although people believe in this God and they begin to seek help from this God, God is seen as the most powerful person, all powerful and all knowing, and at the same time all good. And the modern philosophers begin to question, if God is all knowing and all powerful and all good, why did He create a world where there is full of insecurity and suffering? So they don't have a proper answer for this. So this is why the Buddha pointed out that this world was not created by a God who is all powerful, all knowing and all good. God is a human concept. And it is the concept of perfection. And this concept of perfection is an ideal to be realized. That is, that the human being wants this state of perfection to solve this problem of insecurity. And it is possible for the human being to reach that state of perfection. And when a person reaches that state of perfection, he is called God become. Brahma Bhuto. God become. And that God become means the human being who has become God is called the Buddha. So the Buddha is the human being become God. Because the Buddhists believe that the Buddha is all-knowing and all good. And this means, this is there is another interesting thing in this Buddhist way of thinking, which is different from the theistic way of thinking. That is that in this theistic thinking, it is this God who is seen as all-powerful. And God is seen as good. But in Buddhist thinking, it is the devil who is seen as all-powerful. Because the devil is called Mara. And Mara is called Vasavatti. Vasavatti means the wielder of power. And the Buddha is seen as one who knows everything, and is good. But the Buddha is never spoken of as all-powerful. But he is spoken of as Mara Nudo. Mara Nudo means one who has dispelled Mara. Mara Nudo. That means he is one who has been able to chase away the all-powerful Mara. So that means the Buddha must be more powerful than Mara. You understand? Yes. Now that means there is a small secret here. The secret is that goodness doesn't go with power. Goodness goes with wisdom. And the Buddha was able to chase away the all-powerful Mara not by his power, but by his wisdom. So that wisdom is more powerful than power. That's the important thing. That the Buddha conquered Mara not through power, but through wisdom and goodness. So he used wisdom and goodness to conquer the powerful Mara. That is very interesting. Now there is this story, or at least an illustration of this in the form of a story that Mara comes with his army to attack the Buddha. And so the Buddha doesn't even move. The only thing that the Buddha does is to bring his hand down and point to the earth. What that means is he is getting the earth to be a witness to show that he has been practicing the paramitas. The paramitas are the qualifications to become a Buddha, that he has been practicing through many lives, making sacrifices of all kinds, not only just ordinary sacrifices, sacrificing his life, sometimes giving his head or maybe his arms and legs or even the body, and practicing the virtues for many lives. And when he talks about all that, but the important thing here is that the human being is born with an intelligence. It is that intelligence that is the most powerful thing in the human being. Now, when a lion or tiger or some ferocious animal comes to attack the human being can find weapons to attack the animal. And that is by using his intelligence. There is a very interesting picture. You can get it in the computer. YouTube, YouTube, you get that picture. A lion there were two people, human beings, and these two people, not two people, three people. Three people came in a van to the forest, the jungle, and they stopped the van and they started walking. And when they started walking, they came across a lion, you see. And the lion started chasing after these three people. They ran. They started running. And one man crept under the van, and so the lion was chasing after these other two people. One man started climbing a tree, and the other man also climbed another tree. So one tree was not a strong tree. When he went up, it started bending down, you see. So the lion came to attack that one. The man who crept under the van of course, came out of he was the one who was driving the van. He got into the van, he started driving. So he escaped by driving. But the other two people, the man who went into this weak tree and it started coming down as he went up, the lion came to attack. So the other man who was in the other tree, he wanted to now save this and started shouting and running towards this man. The lion got frightened and started running away. So ultimately the lion started running. You see, at least the intelligence of the human being ultimately succeeded. It's very interesting to see that. If you write something like men attacked by a lion or something, you'll get it. It's very interesting to see that, how it is happening. I don't know whether it was a real story or it was acting or whatever it is. So somehow the human beings with their intelligence have been able to somehow control and dominate the powerful animals. Even the biggest animal, the elephant, is used by the human being to do their work. And the lions and tigers are being used in the circuses, and they are shown to play various things, games. And so all this is possible because of the intelligence of the human being. And with all their guns and all the things that they have made, the human being has been able to attack all the animals. So they are not really frightened of the animals who have all the strength and the powers like that. So this is why today the human being has become humanistic in the sense that they are believing in the human powers and human intelligence. So it is the same message that the Buddha brings to the world, that the human intelligence can attack all the powers. So this is why the Buddha was able to chase away Mara. So that the Buddha is always seen as all-knowing and all-good, not as all-powerful. But the power comes from the wisdom of the Buddha. That's the important thing. So anyway, for today that is enough.
Do you yourself believe that there is something called Mara?
No. The important thing is not to believe here. The important thing is to understand that Mara is a symbol. The Mara is a symbol. That means God is a symbol of goodness and Mara is the symbol of evil. So the God and the devil, these are really human qualities, that human beings have good qualities and bad qualities.
So it's a metaphor.
Huh?
It is a metaphor.
Metaphor, that's right.
Okay.
It's a metaphor. So that these are not the real people there in Buddhism. Yeah. Now, even in the sutras, when the Buddha, say a disciple of the Buddha behaves in a wrong way, he will speak of it as influenced by Mara, you see. But that doesn't mean that a person called Mara has got in. What that means is, it's a symbol. Yeah.
Buddha was a prince. Was a prince.
Well, not exactly. Because when we use the word Buddha, we use that word to indicate that he has transcended the human qualities.
So how do we know that?
We don't know, it is he who knows it. You see, you cannot know another person, you can only know yourself. The important thing is that he claims to be a person who has destroyed all emotions, got rid of his emotions. And that means we have to understand that when we talk about the mind, we have two parts, the thinking part, which is called mano, and the emotional part. So that thinking part has been able to conquer the emotional part, and that emotional part is a Mara, and that thinking part is the Buddha again. You see, the thinking part, which is within you, normal persons, the emotional part is more powerful than the thinking part. And that is why you are carried away by emotions and you do all the mistakes and later you repent. But the problem is, a Buddha is a person who has transcended that human weaknesses, and therefore he has become a Buddha. So he is not born as a Buddha. Becoming a Buddha is an achievement.
What's the difference between wisdom and intelligence?
Wisdom is mainly the use of intelligence to solve problems. If you use intelligence to solve problems, then you are a wise person. Intelligence is like a tool. If you want to cut a mango or something like that, use the knife to cut the mango. The knife is the tool. Cutting is an action. So wisdom simply refers to that action. Intelligence is like the knife that you are using.